So we're gathered here in Santa Monica at a special screening of Whitewash. And I'm here with the director, Ted Woods, right?
Correct, yeah.
And you know, when I first saw you, I said, is he a brother? Are you a brother?
I'm not a brother, at least on the outside. No, my interest, I mean, it goes back to my parents. You know, I think the one thing that I like to be clear about is I think American race relations is it's not a monologue. It's a dialogue. It's between the races, and that's specifically, historically anyway, black and white in America. So my voice as a white man, I think, is important in the dialogue between black and white. And my parents were the ones that taught me that from an early age. My mom's interest in the Civil War, Lincoln, and American race politics, and my father's interest in all sorts of culture and just the principle of education and understanding, and that was something that was really important. The dialogue in my family, you know, talking and exploring the things that you might not understand because there's purpose in that, you know.
Okay. Now, I'm a brother and I really don't swim.
Right.
So when I saw the documentary, it's like, brothers surf. Now, how did you arrive at Whitewash? What's the journey? If you could walk us through the journey.
Yeah. You want the short answer or the long
short
answer? The short answer is basically, as I said, my parents were hugely influential in my interests as a young kid. I kind of grew up that way. I went to school at Fordham University in New York, and my degree was in peace and justice studies. So obviously, it was a really interesting time. I lost one of my best friends my freshman year, a young man, 18 years old, my best friend from back home, committed suicide and was Egyptian Muslim. And, you know, sort of, I think the turmoil of that sense of identity and race in America was something that, you know, was traumatic for me at that experience. And then, you know, at Fordham I was allowed to really pursue the things I was interested with which were race and you know, sports and racial identity and you know, American history and all these different things. So that kind of planted the seeds. I had a couple of professors, one who appears in the film, Dr. Mark Chapman, who teaches a class on the black athlete, so goes through the whole history of sort of, as I was saying, that narrative of American race relations as it goes through, and what it means to be black in America, at least at, you know, at some level. And so that kind of, I moved out to LA wanting to learn how to make documentary films, and one of the first people I met out here, first friend I made, was a black guy from Ohio. And I bought my first surfboard off him. And we'd be out in the lineup waiting for waves to come in and start talking about race and talking about the history of black surfers, which he knew a little bit about, and introduced me to a couple of things. I said, what? This is, you know. And as I explored it, very quickly it was, to your point, you don't swim, that there's a denial of the human experience in race in America, and that is, you know, quote unquote, black people don't swim or surf, and that's just not true. And so the journey of making this film was really sort of exploring, what does that mean? What are the larger implications of a statement that simple? You know, because to say, well, I don't swim now, that's one thing, but I'm going to learn. But it's another thing to say, no, I don't swim, we don't swim. That's just not something we do. That is just fundamentally a denial in what it means to be a human being. So, so that's sort of like the bigger, you know, final thought on it. But it was a process, and it was one interview to the next, and all of a sudden you learn a piece of information, or you interview someone, and, oh, you should talk to this person, or you should look at this. And, you know, one thing kind of leads to another, and that's kind of how it went from an idea to a final product. So there's a few different ways to view Whitewash if you didn't get a chance to see it today or anywhere. You can see it. You can buy the DVD on Amazon.com. You can see it streaming on Netflix. I think also you can order the DVD on Netflix, and then it's also on Hulu for free. But you know, we'd love if you'd support us. But if that's all you can do, then definitely we'd love for you to see the film. Also, it's available on iTunes. So.